Good morning, everybody. I'm showing 8:59, so just like I normally would, I will give everybody a couple minutes to get here. All right. I hope you're having an incredible day. If you're in Nanaimo where I live, you've probably noticed this bright golden orb in the sky, and it's emitting light and warmth, which is not something we normally see in December around here. So I've got my blinds open, so it's pretty bright in here today. All right, friends, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And if you haven't had a chance to read my introductory email for today's chat about karma, or if you're not signed up to get them yet, you can just go to my website, www.oneselfcoaching.com, or there's the top post on my Facebook page is a link to the sign up. So let's talk about karma. And what exactly is karma anyway? I was inspired to talk about this topic today because I think that most people have it wrong. What they think karma isn't how it works, and then it ends up kind of biting them in the butt. So let's start there. What do most people think karma is? So it is not a cosmic bank account where we make intentional deposits of good actions and unintentional deposits of bad stuff, like mistakes or rudeness or intentionally hurting people, right? We don't deposit good and bad things in there to have it randomly come back at us at some later point in our life. That's not karma. People will often wish bad karma onto people who've hurt them in some way, or they'll judge the actions of others that they perceive as bad and warn them that karma's going to get them with some kind of retribution equal to this unjust action of theirs. But retribution itself actually counters the idea of karma. Karma is not punishment or reward for your actions. It's simply a result of your actions. Okay, and I get that that can sound contradictory, so just stay with me for a second. Karma is action and reaction in every imaginable way. Okay, for example, okay, if I take this pencil and I hold it in the air, okay, and then I open my fingers, that'll be the action. We all know what's going to happen. We all know the reaction, okay? Action and reaction. The pencil falls, okay? Action, reaction. And it sounds so simple. You're like, no, that can't be karma. Karma's complicated. And as humans, we tend to see just the science of this demonstration. Thank you, Sir Newton, for this incredible observation. But what Isaac might not have understood at the time was that that very principle is at play in every single moment in our lives, both in the physical realm and in our mental one as well. Okay, so there it is. That's the hitch to this whole thing, okay? And we need to be able to understand the simple law of cause and reaction from both perspectives, physical and mental or internal, because karma is, when we talk about karma, we're discussing usually internal things, right? So, before we jump our gun, reactions or results are not always as immediate internally as they are in the physical world. Like we saw how immediate this is. Actions and reactions in our mental world are not always that quick, and it's not this deposit and withdrawal system that we really, really wish that it was, okay? So Tamara Levitt is a Canadian author and mindfulness instructor, and she has a beautiful quote that says, "Every time we ponder a thought, act on an impulse, or dwell on a desire, we're setting in motion a cause that will have a future effect." Mindfulness enables us to choose wisely. Okay? So you heard that right. Every single time we ponder, act, or dwell on something, we're setting in motion a chain of events that will have an effect on how the future is going to play out, okay? So let's use a different example other than the pencil now that we're going to go a little bit deeper. Let's pretend for a second that you have a relative that you don't typically see eye to eye with. And when you get together, there's this inevitable debate about some contrasting idea, and it might end in an argument. Okay, and then you tend to leave these altercations feeling like frustrated and angry, unheard, and maybe even vowing to never attend another gathering if that person is going to be there. Okay, and these feelings might last well beyond your departure and possibly the next day or even longer. So how do you react when you hear their name? Right? What if it's weeks later? Okay? And you're still bothered by their name, and you're still bothered by that last altercation. Okay? What's that all about? Coffee break. Now, we don't often describe these feelings of going back in our memory and reliving, negative experiences as suffering. But it really, really is. Because we suffer when the thoughts of our interactions with that relative and the unsettled emotions that we felt during that initial experience resurface. And they do. They affect our current frame of mind. Ultimately, they affect our focus and potentially the quality of our life. So that's karma. That reaction that comes from our action of reliving the argument. Completely anticlimactic, I know, but stay with me, okay? So back to our example, some time is going to pass and you no longer have thoughts or emotions about this relative of yours, okay? It's gone, it's done, you've let it go, or you're no longer thinking about it. But then in your email inbox, you get an invitation for a whole family Thanksgiving dinner that's going to come up in a few weeks. Oh, well, now it is on, okay? And you might spend all kinds of time and energy concocting all kinds of possible scenarios where you'll get the upper hand or show them at this dinner. You're going to prepare yourself for this type of conflict that typically comes up with this person. And just like that, the thoughts and emotions come back up, they take over, and you're suffering. Okay? So we've been talking about us, okay? The suffering. But we have no idea what's happening to or for the other person that's involved. Wait, what? Where's the karmic retribution that I was owed? Why aren't they being struck by lightning or investigated by Revenue Canada yet? I mean, they were really disrespectful. They were hurtful. They were rude and mean. And they deserve to suffer too, right? And that's why the idea of karmic retribution for this perceived wrongdoing to you doesn't hold any water. You are creating your karma. They are creating their karma. So let's just go over to their place for a minute and look into their window. Okay? Let's see what's happening for them. Perhaps they were really upset when the altercation happened too. I mean, they argued with you. They had some strong feelings about it. But on the way home, they decided to give both you and themselves some compassion and understanding and just let it go, not let them bother it any longer. And by the time they arrived home, they were able to enjoy a cup of tea, go about their business, and not give it another thought. Okay? That was it for them. It was done. Now they're also getting the email invitation to Thanksgiving dinner, and they are feeling excited at this prospect of being with family again. Right? This joy. That's also karma. That's their karma. So do you see it now? Your thoughts and actions equal your karma. Their thoughts and actions equal their karma. Okay? So whether or not you think they are good, selfish, kind, arrogant, or otherwise matters not a bit when it concerns their karma. Nor do their thoughts and feelings affect yours. Right? Okay, so follow me. We're going to go just a little bit deeper and go back to science class for a second. So when we think anything at all, a neuro pathway is created. Okay, so a path in our brain. And just like any path, the first time we travel it, we don't leave much of a track behind, right? But each time we travel that path again, or think the thought, right? That's how we travel the neural pathways. The grooves in that path become deeper and deeper, and we become more entrained to them. And this is super cool when it comes to language and multiplication and song lyrics, but not so cool when our neural pathways lead us straight into suffering. So take a minute now and think of a really strong belief that you've held for a long time. It can be anything. You know, hey, what do I believe and have believed it for a long time? My example to you today is that my name is Melissa. Okay, I'm picking something super neutral. So after 43 years of being on this earth and being Melissa, okay, there's this neural pathway, I am Melissa. If someone walked up to me and told me that my name is Jackie, well, you can bet I'm going to have some thoughts and probably some feelings about that. I'm going to disagree. No. You're mistaken. I'm sorry. I am Melissa. I'm not this Jackie person that you're talking about. And they're like, no, really. And the more they try and convince me of it, the more I'm likely to dig my heels in and fight them. And this is because I've taken the my name is Melissa path, neural pathway, so many times that I'm super prepared to defend it. I don't even have to think about defending it. Okay? Now, I don't have to experience suffering when someone calls me by another name. This is because I have a choice. Okay? And now, karma is going to make that complete circle. If we consistently choose something, acceptance, love, gratitude, easygoingness, which is also known as equanimity, and we create that type of neural pathway, that's exactly where we'll go when we're confronted by an opposing idea. Just like when someone called me another name. If I'm regularly in places of love, gratitude, and equanimity, someone's going to say, hey, Jackie, and I'll be like, oh, hey, you must have been mistaken with somebody else. Nice to meet you, though. My name's Melissa. Okay? And that means that our consistent thoughts and feelings of acceptance, love, gratitude, and equanimity will be what we get. Okay? That is karma. That got a little kind of crazy and deep there for a second. But if you prefer one simple phrase to sum it all up, it's only what happens now happens in the future. And that's Jon Kabat-Zinn, quote. So think it through. Only what happens now happens in the future, which means what's happening now happened in the past. And we can use this to our advantage, and we can say, okay, what brought me here today? Something in the past. Maybe it was those deeply entrenched neural pathways. Maybe it was a traumatic event. Maybe it was a glorious event. Maybe it was whatever, we're all traveling on our own individual paths here. Okay, so I know that was a lot. And if you really want to dig into your thoughts and maybe some of this suffering that they could be causing you, I want to remind you that I'm a life coach. And helping people through this stuff is exactly what I do. Okay. I have space available for another client or two before the new year, and I would be happy to help you resolve some of what causes you to suffer unnecessarily. Okay, so if you want to reach out to me, please do so through my website or through my social media. And until next time, that's right, let's be honest and kind.